Verstappen's future in Red Bull is hanging on by a thread, and it seems like Aston Martin is ready to take full advantage of the situation. The Silverstone-based squad is currently struggling in the last season of the ground effect era, but the hopes for 2026 are extremely high. There have been offers made towards the four-time world champion, and although anything is to be confirmed yet, with the latest downfall in Bahrain, I highly doubt Max will think twice before denying such a lucrative offer on his table. Can Aston Martin bring themselves to the top of the grid with Max? And more importantly, is Lawrence ready to get rid of his own son in the team? A very interesting and rather dramatic evolution of events happened at Red Bull this weekend when Verstappen's manager expressed anger with the car's performance to Marco. The team held an emergency meeting in which these matters were addressed, but it doesn't automatically mean that Verstappen is going to receive a better car to race with. Quite the contrary. Fears have emerged that the problem with the RB21 is fundamental, and it cannot be fixed with a couple of upgrades. Therefore, it would be you're too optimistic to hope that they could be anywhere near the top if they continue with the current rate of development. After the Bahrain Grand Prix, we saw that there's been a big disappointment in Verstappen's camp that's been shared by his manager, Formulaone. According to Ted Kravitz, he went on to disclose this with Marco, who was supposed to talk about it in the emergency meeting that was held right after the race, explaining how it all went down in Red Bull's garage. Obviously, even Verstappen lost hope that he can fight for the championship because he said that he is just a participant in this year's World Championship and that McLaren is not his rival. But what's even more defeating is that he has a neutral approach to the entire situation, which goes to show that he's likely going to think about his future elsewhere. When talking about how he generally feels about the current situation that he and Red Bull are in, even though this was the first weekend in which both of their cars scored points after Las Vegas in 2024, Verstappen said, "I always try to do the best I can, even in disappointing or, let's say, frustrating situations. But you have to move on. We keep discussing and keep trying to improve. We know that we have our problems. Even if you win a race, that doesn't go away." I already said that last week. Anyway, I'm not the guy who thinks when you have a positive or negative scenarios. You get influenced by them. I'm still very neutral. You just have to keep on working. And this is where teams like Aston Martin come into play. The Silverstone-based squad has been quite open when it comes to luring Verstappen, as internal reports have stated that the four-time world champion is the top priority for the foreseeable future. It seems like hiring staff like Niue and bringing Honda on as their engine provider from 2026 onwards is part of the plan to bring Verstappen on board. The Dutchman can now see how big of an influence Niue's had in the success of Red Bull. Of course, there are other figures like Rob Marshall who brought their significant part of the success, but the general belief is that everything started and ended with Adrian. There's definitely a growing concern that Verstappen could get snatched by Red Bull. And whether we like it or not, it's just something that cannot be turned a blind eye to, especially when you have teams like Mercedes, who were yet to show full loyalty to their lineup. Wolff said that he wants to continue the process of working with Russell and Antonelli. But we all know that an opportunity like Max is too hard to pass on twice, which is something that's been commented on by Martin Brundle. When talking about this, the Sky F1 pundit has gone on to say, "I think if Max Verstappen sprung into the marketplace, I would be quite worried for George actually, because Kimi is obviously their man to flip-flop for the future. But there is a lot of ifs in there. George is doing a great job for them as team leader, but Toto missed wax once. I don't think he'll miss him a second time should he get the opportunity." With all of this in mind, do you think that Verstappen is going to leave Red Bull for Aston Martin? And if so, do you think he'll be replacing Alonso or Lance Stroll? Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, Make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now